girls just waiting to be sold for sex. We talked to one girl in Houston who said the only time that she was ever been outside of the premises was during Hurricane Ike.
Only time she'd been outside the premises?
Yes, in 2 months.
The person who deals with serious runaways is Ernie Allen from Center of Missing and Exploited Children. He gets 800,000 calls a year, and he thinks between 100,000 and 300,000 of those kids are kids who end up in child prostitution in America. The thing that we have to do is not arrest those girls and treat them as criminals, but go after the pimps and recognize that a 12-year-old who's arrested in America for prostitution is actually a trafficking victim, and she needs services, she needs support, she needs intervention and help.
We often go and rescue a girl even when we don't have a chance of prosecution. And that's never been seen before in any type of other violations by law enforcement, because we realize it needs to be a victim-centered approach. We can't be arresting girls. We can't be putting them in jail. We need to provide them with the services that they need.
Right. All right, Julia, thank you so much for coming and talking about this. And your website is www.assetcampaign.org.
Yeah.
Right? And so we'll put a link to that on our website so they can do it. So I appreciate you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And you aren't getting out of here till we get some music out of you at the end of this, which is a very, very moving performance that addresses exactly what we're talking about here. We're going to take a break. When we come back, a straight-A student. She ran away at 13, found herself in New York, lured in to a teenage prostitution ring. We're going to hear how her mother rescued her when we come back.
Is there life after death? Melinda Gordon believes there is.
I am not afraid of the dead.
One man's near-death experience will make him a believer too.
The good news is I'm not dead. The bad news is I might have to spend the rest of my life listening to people who are.
And helping them.
Now, they'll work together to help lost souls.
This whole ghost thing, it's kind of creepy.
A lot of responsibility comes with this gift.
A new episode of Ghost Whisperer, CBS tonight.
Affinity Plus On the Money, a collaborative program with Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union, WCCO-TV, and the Star Tribune.
Understanding your credit gives you better negotiating power. Even if you have less than perfect credit, you still have the ability to apply for financing and negotiate better rates. Affinity Plus's financial experts will help you make smart credit decisions and put the power with you.
Get an inside look at your credit and more at onthemoneymn.com.
Paul Wellstone used to run alongside his son David when David was running cross-country races. Listen to Al Franken tell the story.
And David said, yeah, but get this. My dad made me run cross-country. And this is like a 2.5, 3-mile race every time. And my dad would run alongside me on the edge of the course, off the edge of the course. And I'd get to the last quarter mile, and I'd be behind by, 10 or 15 yards, and I'd be totally out of gas. My dad would see it. And my dad, running alongside, would start yelling, "You can take this guy! You can take him!"
Look familiar? That's right. Ads for Norm Coleman use footage of Al Franken telling this story about Paul Wellstone and his son, and tried to make it seem like he was angry. Minnesota deserves better.
I'm Al Franken, and I approve this message.
Don't worry, we don't let the monsters out until nighttime at Valley Scare. During the day, it's a Halloween celebration for little kids and their families. There are all kinds of things to do that are fun scary, not scary scary, including lots of rides. The Halloween haunt at Valley Scare. The only thing scary about it would be missing it.
Well, some reports say that at least 100,000 kids in the United States are sold for sex each year. This is not just a statistic for my next guest. Tiamba was doing well in school, loved at home, but early teen rebellion led her to running away from home when she was just 13 years old. Tiamba was then lured into the seedy underground world of child prostitution.
Tiamba maintained the honor. She was an excellent student. She entered the 6th grade, but something started changing. Tiamba ran away, and it took a turn for the worse.
I don't remember how I really got to New York, but I met a guy. He seemed pretty decent. So that night, he took me to an underground strip club. Next thing you know, he hit me. He told me I had to strip, have sex for money. I was scared, so I just did what he told me to do.
I was devastated, not knowing where she was.
One night I said, I'm going to run away. The pimp and his friends, they chased me down the block, and they took me to a building. And, they beat me. I tried to get away, but they grabbed me and said, "You're not going anywhere."
Tiamba was missing for 11 months. I was told by police it would be unsafe, but I had to act to bring my child home. I had made the right phone call, and word passed on to the person who had held my daughter captive. I said, "Her mother is here, and I want my daughter." I was giving up all hope, sitting in the dark in my car at a train stop in New York, and then finally my car door opened. And it was Tiamba.
What did it mean to you when that car door opened?
Oh, it meant that my prayers had been answered and that I was being given a second chance to complete the task of motherhood, to finish Tiamba off into adulthood.
Now, tell me what happened the first time you actually had sex for money.
I was already in New York for at least 3 months, and I ended up on a phone chat line, and I met a person off of there. I basically went with him to his house because he said he needs to get something. And as I walked in, I noticed he had a couple of females in there. But when it was time that I felt like I was ready to go, he wouldn't let me leave. He slapped me and said, "You can't go anywhere." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because you can't."
At that point, he controlled you and forced you to start having sex with strange men.
Yes, he took me to underground strip clubs, prostitute strips.
So you know what's happened here.
Yes. I sought professional help.
Right.
We did attend counseling sessions, and till Tiamba was cleared and no longer needed those services. My professional life, I'm a registered nurse. I was well aware of what my daughter needed. Part of the therapy that we continued was to tell about our story. I was very passionate about the fact that if she was going to be a strong woman and not harbor these negative feelings and not have a chance to express them, that speaking in the right form would be a positive experience for her.
From straight A student to being in that situation where, you realize your life was at risk, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what I want kids to take from hearing what you're talking about here. Also joining us in the audience is the founder of Shared Hope International. Now, Linda Smith says these traffickers know exactly how to identify and target vulnerable children.
Girls are literally sold on what essentially is an auction block to other pimps and other traffickers.
I got Japanese girls, I got Russian girls, Romanian girls, I got Canadian girls.
They'd asked me to procure another boy, but they wanted him as young as possible.
As young as 10.
As young as 8. The youngest I've ever seen was 6 years old.
If you're going out there buying commercial sex, the likelihood is that you are buying sex from a child.
That's just staggering. Linda, this is something that is growing rapidly, true?
I found that basically the child is 12 to 14 when she goes into this, but worse than that, she could be anybody's child. Even though the factor of vulnerability is often sexual abuse or foster care, bleed out or runaway, the real factor is she's a little girl and she's easy to woo. So what we found is that the age factor is really, really major. And I hate to say this, but I think it could be anybody's child. I've got a case right now. She was 12 and she was kidnapped. And off the street walking to school, there from 12 to 16, arrested 17 times in 17 states. Her buyer, sometimes with her, was walked, never was arrested. We could not find literally any cases where the man buying the child was arrested and put in jail for buying.
I am just outraged by this. I'm just outraged by this. Who are the buyers? If there weren't buyers, there wouldn't be sellers. Who are the buyers?
What we found is that the open market allows the sale of children in the United States. And they're everybody's husband, father, and this really bugs people when I say it. Could be anybody's son. Because if there's no pushback, which there isn't, I mean, if we've investigated America and pretty well not found any of the buyers arrested, there's no pushback. I'm coming to the conclusion after 3 years, if there weren't a buyer, there wouldn't have a seller, and you hang just a few guys, and pretty high-level guys that we're discovering are using kids, and you know what? The rest of them are going to be like the crows that won't go to the corn when they see a few dead ones hanging over it. And I think we have to do that.
Okay, next, as teenagers, they were lured into a prostitution ring. How they finally escaped. We'll be right back.
Turned my first trick when I was 17.
Greg immediately put me to work on the street.
He ran one of the largest prostitution rings on the West Coast.
Closing bargain bags can be difficult. Closing Ziploc's double zipper bag, a no-brainer. Ziploc's double zipper bag, designed with you in mind.
Francesca Rinaldi pasta sauce brings your family together with Disney's Sleeping Beauty on Platinum Edition DVD October 7th. Francesca Rinaldi, made by Italians, enjoyed by everyone.
Listen, I'm a corporation. I love corporations that play by the rules.
But for years, Franken's personal corporation failed to pay workers' comp insurance for his employees. Called a deadbeat, forced to pay a $25,000 fine.
I love corporations that play by the rules, and we have to make them play by the rules.
But he doesn't. Al Franken. He'd make things worse. The National Republican Senatorial Committee is responsible for the content of this ad.
Beverly Hills Chihuahua is the #1 movie in America. Hold your tacos. It's the #1 comedy.
Fabulous.
And it's the #1 greatest Chihuahua film of all time.
I think I'm gonna cry.
Beverly Hills Chihuahua. Rated PG. See it now. Oh, yeah.
Hi, girls. Hi, Judy. I like this cut. It's a very professional look. Ready for that interview on Friday? I'll be running the joint by Tuesday. I like her. I mean, me.
Fantastic Sam's. Your style awaits.
If you suffer from chronic neck or back pain, you've probably tried everything. Hot packs, needles, massage, maybe just hanging around. Well, here's something you can do for proven lasting relief. Call Physicians Neck and Back Clinics at 1-888-833-PNBC. Ask about their nationally recognized non-surgical treatment plans. Their MDs will get you back on your feet and keep you there. Now, could somebody get me down, please?
Do not panic. There's plenty of wine for everyone at the Surdyk's Fall Wine Sale. Please move in an orderly fashion.
I gotta get to Surdyk's!
Surdyk's! Hey, wait for us!
He's on University in Hennepin. Let's go!
20 to 35% off all wine.
Oh, more! I'm on my way! People come from all over to save at the Surdyk's Fall Wine Sale. How you get here is up to you. Surdyk's, keeping you in good spirits since 1934.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lois Lee. I'm the founder and the president of Children of the Night. Children of the Night has rescued over 10,000 children from the ravages of prostitution.
We have a problem right here in America with American children who are forced to prostitute for food to eat and a place to sleep. We have a 24-hour hotline.
How long have you been on the streets?
In order to fully operate Children of the Night, we need $2 million a year. It's very, very tough. Some years we fall short. We help them achieve a GED or a high school diploma, and we place 5 children a year in college. About 60% of the children that we work with make it off the streets and go on to more successful lives. Some of the children that I've helped are in PhD programs, they're vice presidents of companies, they own their own businesses. The children are most often throwaway children. They have no one to care for them, and they have no place to go. I'm committed to my children. They need and they deserve our help.
Throwaway children. What an ugly, ugly concept. Studies show that at least 150,000 children are lured into prostitution each year, and the average age when the girls start is 12 to 14. Now, in our audience, we have 2 women who were part of an underage prostitution ring run by a man by the name of Greg Hightower.
Greg immediately put me to work on the street, made me do things that I never imagined myself doing.
He ran one of the largest prostitution rings on the West Coast. It consisted of 300 girls. I was 16 when I got pregnant with his child. He was just like, if you love your daughter, you will sell your body for her. He turned my first trick when I was 17.
Being with the men made me feel so disgusting.
As the man got on top of me, I just remember being so scared. I handed Greg the money. I just started throwing up. I felt like I threw up my soul that day.
You'd get beat if you didn't bring what he wanted, $1,000 a night from each of us. Greg stabbed me in my chest. He stabbed me and stabbed me. I thought I was gonna die.
He would beat the girls with telephone cords, with belts, with tire irons.
He can beat you and then 5 minutes later have you back with him.
I remember going to the store one time. As I got out the door, he goes, don't even think about doing anything stupid. I will find you. I will kill you. It was 13 years that I lived as this man's slave. I escaped, got into a domestic violence shelter.
I left Greg, and I don't have to sell myself anymore. My biggest fear is Greg finding me.
You, Cherie, are still afraid of this man. You were saying you had to turn like $1,000 a night, and if you didn't, what happens? What if you don't perform? What if you don't meet his expectations?
You get beat or you get tortured.
Beaten and tortured?
Yeah.
Same experience for you? Now, he's in jail right now, and y'all understand that, and